Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another day of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30 and Still Gaming, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about Game Pass and the narrative that Xbox Game Pass hurts game sales. Now, we do these type of standalone topics 4 days a week right here on 30NSG, live starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this type of content, please make sure you hit that like button. It's a great way to help out the video and the channel. I give you a topic up front so you can just get the info that you want. And then if you want to stay for the conversation, you can. We discuss the topic live in chat every single day. So let's get started. Wi-Fi Rush has lapped PlayStation 5 console exclusive Forspoken on Steam, despite the availability on Xbox Game Pass. Now, Microsoft unexpectedly shadow dropped a game called Hi-Fi Rush, and it's causing quite a stir. And the rhythm brawler is presently at an 88 out of 100 on Metacritic, giving Microsoft a significant boost after a rather lackluster 2022 in terms of exclusive game releases. Now, I want to come out and say that I've talked quite a bit on this topic in live streams over the years about Game Pass, and I, for one, do use Game Pass quite a bit. Now, one of the reasons I use Game Pass so much, well, if you didn't notice, I'm a content creator, and I cover all types of games. So it's a great value for me because I can play a bunch of games for a low cost. I also get codes as a content creator, and I also sign up for alphas and betas, so I can also play games, and I talk about them as well. But one of the biggest factors for me having Game Pass is my 8-year-old son. He's an upcoming gamer, and he loves playing games with his father, and I love playing games with him, right? We play all these different types of games, and it's fantastic because it doesn't break the bank, right? So with this conversation this morning, I'm not talking as a fan or not as a fan of the service. I'm just trying to give you a middle-of-the-road look or kind of feel of what I'm going to read and reference an article that talks about the narrative, or should I say shatters the narrative of Xbox Game Pass that hurts game sales. Now, this article comes from Windows Central and Jez Corden, who is more right than wrong when it comes to rumors and whatnot in the video game space, okay? Now, in this article, he says Microsoft is gearing up to have a much better 2023, already with Age of Empires 2 on Xbox on the horizon, and major third-party games like Monster Hunter Rise and Personas 3 and 4 dropping straight into Game Pass. Right? Already, this upcoming Game Pass list is swelling with games like Forza Motorsports, Redfall, Starfield, and promises to launch throughout the year. Now, still, console wars are lining up to take shots at Hi-Fi Rush already. Blindsided by a rare positive Xbox news, Hi-Fi Rush has some mild review bombing already from those who haven't even played the game, owing to straight infinity some feel over plastic video game console brands. I want to interject here for a second. I hate that they always bring up these review bombings now in gaming. In years past, okay, before the social media and whatnot, this wasn't amplified. Like, if one person does a review bomb, they're like, all these people are review bombing people. It's like they're doing a census. And if for every one person that's doing a review bomb, they think like hundreds and thousands of people are doing review bombs, right? And they make it. So Jez says that MMC GR82, a brand new account with only 2 reviews, both copied and pasted, all right, or he says paste, for Hi-Fi Rush, reads that the game is pretty generic, 0 of 10, which couldn't be further objective from the truth, and he disagrees. Now, obviously, each their own, right? Each their own. If you are a person out there that makes an account and decides to put 0 of 10 on a review, that's on you. If you want to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Same with the person that puts a 10, right? If you're going to look at review bombing and say that the person that puts a 0 is review bombing, then the person that's putting a 10 is also doing the opposite of review bombing, right? They're doing a review party, whatever you want to call it. All right, where they're just putting 10s for no reason, even though they also didn't play the game, right? And in this mindset, you're looking at, well, I like the game, and if someone puts a 0, they must be a review bomber, right? Instead of going, okay, well, that's their opinion, right? You just assume that they're review bombing. Anyway, regardless, ultimately, one of the things that matters at the end of the day, he says, is financials, which we can't see anymore. Video games are art, and they also a business. And one particular attack angle for fanboys is they claim that Xbox Game Pass is unsustainable in some way because it negates game sales for some such. Okay, and I'll go more into that as well. Okay, because him saying that is kind of putting me in that side, but I'm trying to stay in the middle of the road, right? And I'll tell you the good and the bad. So how can Microsoft afford this? It hurts developers. It doesn't really hurt developers, but anyway, and so on, they cry. Typically, we don't really have a great example of how Xbox Game Pass may or may not harm game sales, given that we can't analyze two separate realities where the same game simultaneously launches and didn't launch into Game Pass, okay, the game, if you will, but perhaps this month we have the next best example. In this little breakdown that he says, right, he's admitting in the article that we have no way of actually proving if it hurts or doesn't hurt game sales, right? Just because they're taking one stat and saying, well, it's outsold this on this system, they're saying, well, it's making money. Well, of course it's making money, but it's not making all the money it should have made, or not, based on the popularity and the value. So according to the data on SteamDB, Hi-Fi Rush managed to hit the top 10 sales chart for week 4 of 2023, despite the fact that it received a non-marketing beyond Microsoft's brand new Xbox Developer Direct Showcase. Despite the fact it's free in PC Game Pass, one could argue that maybe it has shown a slow week for new PC game releases, but that context makes things even more interesting. This was the week that PlayStation 5 console exclusive. Now, Forspoken launched on SteamDB chart titles and revenue as noted by the prominent industry analyst. Benji Sales on Twitter, Forspoken had the largest traditional marketing cycle featuring prominent placements by both Sony and Square Enix since 2020. Now, Forspoken is also a $70 game compared to Hi-Fi Rush's $30, indicating that Hi-Fi Rush must have managed to sell through vastly more copies in Steam in order to chart the revenue. What they don't tell you is we don't know that number. We just know that it's in the top 10. So let's say number 1 sold 100 games and number 5 sold 50 games, right? They're like, oh, it's top 5. We don't know the actual sales numbers of how many people purchased those games. We don't know those numbers. The companies don't share their revenue or their numbers anymore. We can assume how many based on the wish list and how many people played and the achievements and stuff, but they don't tell you the actual sales. So it's notable since Forspoken isn't available on any all-you-can-eat subscription services, and PC players could essentially grab Hi-Fi Rush for as little as $1. They're joining PC Game Pass for the first time, but virality of the game is a general quality appeal appears to be driving interest in the game. Now, Forspoken hit a middling 66 out of 100 on Metacritic and also had a playable demo built within the receiving a similar mixed reception. Here's the difference. One cost $70, one cost $30. Lots of people had time to look at what Forspoken was. It even had a demo to play about Forspoken, and people looked at it and said, nah, not for me. Right? It's also $70. It also is coming out just a couple of weeks before Hogwarts Legacy and 6 weeks before Jedi Jedi Survivor. Right? So if you have $70, you're looking at it going, where do I spend my money? Type of thing. Right? But if a game comes out and it's $30, you're like, yeah, you know what? $30 is not that bad. We'll see what the value is. Right? He says, in any case, the whole scenario leads credence to the idea that the only thing that matters when it comes to game sales is ultimately making a great game. From indie hits with zero marketing budgets like Among Us to shadow drop platform exclusives like Hi-Fi Rush, in the end, openness of PC and direct word-of-mouth marketing via social media will eventually lead to great games being discovered, shared, and ultimately purchased. I also think, how about you make a game? If a great game comes out and people find that great game, people will start talking about that game. Regardless if it's on Game Pass, regardless if it's on an actual platform, good games rise to the top because we all know there's a lot of games out there now that come out broke, incomplete, and we have to wait months and months before they're fixed, right? So the landscape of the gaming industry, right? What does that look like, right? We talked just a few weeks ago about indie devs are worried about the streaming services, and that is good and bad for both of them, right? They say if you're early on in the console cycle, you're fine. But once you get into past the 2 years, there's a problem because it gets oversaturated, right? The culture that is conditioning us as a whole, as far as what the value of it is. We as gamers and as consumers in general are always looking for good deals. Nobody is out there going, oh, that's $100. I'm buying that right away. Majority of the population is like $100. I'll wait for that to go down, right? We just don't go out and buy first thing we see. We look for deals or fair prices or the value of that price, okay? Obviously, there's people out there that have more money than time, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, and they just buy the game, right? But a lot of people, a lot of gamers, are looking for, well, I don't know if I want to buy that game at full price. I'll wait, okay? The price of games is a big part, and I feel a lot of people overlook this. A brand new game that comes out at $30 is a big difference than coming out at $70. Because at $70, you're expecting way more, right? You're expecting a AAA game. You're expecting high fidelity. You're much more meticulous of what it could be. But a game at $30, you're like, oh man, this is a great value, right? So comparing a $30 game to a $70 game is kind of absurd to me, regardless of if it's fun or not. Now, the marketing of the game is a big difference as well. AAA games are treated different than indie games or AA studios. Obviously, Hi-Fi Rush, not a AAA studio, not a AAA game. Obviously, because it's not a AAA price. So, the marketing of the game, like I said, is a big difference. Not every game that comes out to Game Pass is a hit. Most of the games right now on Game Pass are older titles that have been out for years, or you can get it for cheaper, price on sale, it's in the store, whatever. So as years go by, more and more first-party titles or top-tier AAA games will come out, and they will start saturating the market or cover up the little guys, okay? So sure that these games will come out on Game Pass that are bangers, sure, yes, there are. There are games that come out that are just amazing. And then there are games that come out that are just okay, more so than not, okay? So when looking at Game Pass in general, is it good for gamers? Yes, of course it's good for gamers because it's a good deal. And that's a hard argument to do. But in the long run, is this, or should I say, in the long run, this won't be sustainable. And this is just my opinion. You can have a different opinion because more studios, they have to be bought up or paid to be on the platform. Sooner or later, they're going to have to raise the price for the service and pay out for more third-party games to get onto the service. Then they will have to rotate faster through games that show up on the Game Pass, so you'll have less time to actually try them out. Because the companies don't show you actual numbers anymore, and we have to go with just the Steam charts, which is just a small portion of the industry, and then making assumptions of what it is, this is really hard to say if this really shatters the narrative that sells more copies of games or not. So where are we? So overall, does this one game out of 5 years of Game Pass being out really shatter the narrative of Game Pass and it hurts game sales? No, it doesn't. Not until you start showing me, and the actual numbers of game sales again, which they don't do, that the narrative will be shattered until then. There's no evidence that you can say without a doubt, and especially like if you can't say this is happening or this is not happening because I'm more right than wrong, because if you can't show your numbers and you can't show the stuff, then you can't say that it's not hurting the industry. Until they actually come out and show us the narrative of the actual game sales, of what Game Pass, how many people play on Game Pass, and how many people actually buy the game full price when it comes out, then I won't change my mind. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. If you like this and you're watching it after the fact, please make sure you hit the share like button. If you're in live chat right now, I want to hear what you have to say about this topic. Please make sure you hit that like button, like I said. And if you like this video and you're here this long, I do appreciate you very much for watching this long. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. What's going on, chat? Let me see what chat is saying. What's going on, Stealth? What's going on, Jesse Mac? Let me see who is participating. Sarge, Stealth, Super Dave, Water, Jesse Mac. What is going on? Thank you very much for showing up in the morning here. So let's see. High Five doesn't show in my game collection, and I don't like that. What do you mean it doesn't show in your game collection, Nostalgic? On PC or on Game Pass itself? Look at all these rumors around me every day. Sometimes I just gotta run away. Review bombing, is this get out of jail free card? Yes. It's only review bombs when it's paid shills pumping the game. Jesse Mack says, Sarge says, well, I'm 8 minutes in. Let me have some coffee first. You ever know the number, bro? That's the way they want it. Now it's called controlling the narrative. Exactly. Let's just say how long before the Forspoken goes on sale. I'm gonna say in a couple of weeks. If not, this Lego build is tough, man. Which one? Stealth, the Millennium Falcon one? But if a group of people have always buy day one, the money doesn't matter to them. Sure, Sarge, sure. But that's a small portion, right? How many people can buy every single brand new game that comes out on day one? Right? Like that's what you're talking about. Every game that comes out day one, I can show you, like, here, I'll bring this up, right? Look at all the games that are coming out on the 31st. Now, I don't know if these are $70 games, $30 games, $20 games, $15 games, doesn't matter, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, obviously, not everyone's buying every game. But in this narrative that when a game comes out day one, people are buying it day one. Not everyone is buying Cosmic Shake or buying Superfuse, okay? Not everyone's buying these games. So to say that when a game comes out, everyone's buying it, and it's on the charts and stuff, it's just not true, right? But $70 is a lot of money. It should be thought of as a AAA title price. Exactly. And they're comparing Forspoken that came out this week, which is a AAA game on PlayStation and PC, not on Xbox, to Hi-Fi Rush, which is on Xbox and PC, which is less than half the price of Forspoken. Okay? Just comparing the prices. Obviously, if I'm looking at the price and say, well, the narrative is that Hi-Fi Rush is less than half the price of Forspoken, and if I have money and I'm like, yeah, you know what, I can't afford Forspoken, but I can afford a $30 game. And if I can buy Forspoken, means I have a PlayStation or I have a PC. And if I'm on PC, then I have a choice. Do I buy Forspoken for $70? Or do I buy Hi-Fi Rush for $30, or because I'm on PC, I'm also a Game Pass member and I can already pay for it, and then I can just play Hi-Fi Rush, right? But the sales numbers that Jez Cordon's talking about is people that actually bought the game, and Hi-Fi Rush is a higher up than Forspoken. But again, so let's say Forspoken sold 100,000 copies and Hi-Fi Rush sold 200,000 copies. Fantastic. That's great for Hi-Fi Rush. But at the same time, how many more people would have bought that game if it wasn't on Game Pass? Right? These are all hypothetical type stuff. But I'm pretty sure they would have sold more copies than what they sold if it wasn't on Game Pass. But on Game Pass, they sold more. Now let's talk about the devs, right? Well, the devs, if they're on Game Pass, if it's AAA, AA, or if it's in-house, first-party titles, they already made the money up front. They're underneath the company. Like, if I'm a worker for a company, I'm getting my salary and I'm making the game. I just go to work on the game, and when that game sells, I'm still getting paid the exact same. And if there's a bonus because it sells better, then they give me a bonus. But the money now is not going to the company itself. It's going to the bigger company, and then they feed out the company as they need stuff, right? So as a developer, you're developing a game, and you're like, hey, I'm developing a game. And now that pressure is off of you because you don't need, especially first-party titles, they don't need to sell 1 million copies. They just need to sell the game, get the game done, get it complete, so it can get put onto the service of Game Pass, right? Water says Game Pass is short for games getting passed for making a product unfinished and indie games getting shafted. There's a full name. Good morning. What's going on? Super Dave says, long time no see. What's going on, Super Dave? Reese says, I recommend reading what the High on Life said, combined with this info, making it clear that the narrative of Game Pass hurts sales isn't correct. Send me the link, Reese, because even with High on Life developer, okay, we talked about Tunic, and Tunic made a lot of money, okay? Or I shouldn't say a lot of money from sales. It made a lot of money because they got bought out and got put on to the service, okay? So each individual game is different. Outriders didn't make money on Game Pass. They lost all their money to Square Enix, and Square Enix took that money and didn't pay them. Hence why they had to come out with DLC. So for every one that you're going to show me that's good, there's other ones that are bad, right? Forspoken should be on sale now. I'm getting Deliver Us from Mars on Friday. Deliver Us from the Moon sequel. Great little game. I played Deliver Us to the Moon. Thought it was a nice little game. Nice little game. I didn't play it all the way to completion, but I played it when it came out originally on Game Pass. Superfuse is also a cool game to play. The game is also a vein of Diablo Path of Exile. Oh, Superfuse. Yeah. We looked at that a while back, Water, when they first brought it up. Every gamer wanted to see new games, problematic games came out nowadays. not only did they screw people over with how many companies nowadays, they're scrambling now and the bad business ideas. Still have to make a great game. Yeah, the Outriders got from Square. Yeah. So again, this conversation is not about if Game Pass is good or bad, right? As a for the customer. The article that we're talking about is the narrative of, well, he says it shatters the narrative because Hi-Fi Rush sold more than Forspoken. It's also a half-price game, so it's a really poor comparison, in my opinion. And then even in his article, he says, well, we have nothing to go off of, right? He literally says in the article, at the very, I think it's the second paragraph in the article, where is it? This is a brand new account with only 2 reviews. He talks about that. He said, ultimately, the only thing that matters at the end of the day is the financials. Video games are art, but they also have a business. And the popular attack angle, the fanboys, is claiming that Xbox Game Pass is unsustainable in some way because it negates the game's sales or some such. That argument right there, you can't tell me if, let's say Game Pass didn't pay for to get them on the market. Let's say Hi-Fi Rush is just a third-party game. It's not a first-party game. Let's just say it's a third-party game, and it's put on the platform. They didn't get paid up front, okay? They're also on Game Pass, okay? Now, obviously, this is a weird scenario because there's no microtransactions or anything inside Hi-Fi Rush. It's just a single-player game, all right? I'm not halfway through. I'm about 5 hours in. But let's say they didn't get paid money up front. They're not a part of the association. They're just a third-party game, AA company, now going on Game Pass. Now, they sold 200,000 copies, let's say, on Steam. But they also had 3 million people play it on Game Pass. Play it on Game Pass. Because they already have the actual thing. Did they make more money or less money? They still sold the 200,000 copies on Steam. Because that's what they sold. But now Game Pass is in the mix, okay? How many more copies could they have sold because it wasn't on Game Pass? I would say double, if not more. But more people play the game. So more people know of the company. More people see the company and say, oh, this is a really good game. Wow, this is a really good developer. I want to see more from this. Very few of that percentage of people that played the game go, hey, you know what? I like the game. And now I'm going to purchase it off of Game Pass because I really like it. More people will be like, nah, I'm just going to save my money and I'm going to wait for a third-party game to come out, like Hogwarts Legacy or Jedi Survivor. Then you have people go, well, I'm not going to get Jedi Survivor because in less than a year, maybe a year, okay, it's just going to be on Game Pass, right? And that is the conditioning I was talking about for the consumers. So less people are actually buying a game, but more people are trying more games because of Game Pass, right? Good news, bro. Fourth quarter is almost over. So Microsoft has to release how many Game Pass members they are again into the report, and we'll see how many big the pillow is now. Well, even if it raises to like 35 million, let's say, Sarge. What? That's fantastic. That's even more credence that they don't really care about the games selling games. That's like extra money on top, right? Obviously, they're putting money up front to get these companies onto Game Pass, and if they're first party, they're not paying them anything, right? They get their salary, they get the whatever the deal is, right? Because they're underneath Microsoft already, so they're not getting paid up front. They're just getting their salary to make the game. They had their quarterly in the 24th. What was the number for Game Pass? Did they give you the number? Yeah, where's that article, Reese, about Hi-Fi High on Life? Let me see if I can find it. Xbox podcast, Justin Rowland on why High on Life. Is that it? Is it on Xbox Wire? No, but it went up, and everything else went down. But how do you know if it went up? Did they say it went up? Or did they say it went up from year to year? Right? Because the financials are year over year. So if they only got 5 million, let's say, people from last year to sign up for Game Pass, but then they lost 6 or 7 million people on Game Pass, right? But they actually made an additional 6 million subscribers. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it has an increase. What's the increase? How do you have an increase but don't tell you a number? What's the percentage? Right? Again, it's only year over year. It's not telling you the full number. So if they gained 2 million last year, now they gained 3 million this year, but they lost 4 million, they still made more millions of people this year, but they also lost overall. So what's the increase? Hell, even Phil Spencer himself in the interview with IGN said, yeah, it's a fiscal thing. It's from year over year, not total. The article is titled "High on Life says Game Pass sells 7 times more than those off the service." High on Life came and went, and how they help make the future games. So that's not it. That's the actual High on Life. Okay, High on Life says Game Pass sells 7 times more than those of the service. All right, let's see. High on Life. The Gamer. Let's bring this up. High on Life has been riding high, being quite the hit with the creator Justin Roiland. Now, the comedy shooter has also become the Game Pass's biggest launch this year. Microsoft confirmed this week, and according to High on Life's creator, it has proven to be a skewed decision since he has spent a great deal of time thinking about the particular qualities of Microsoft game subscription service. Now, Roiland appeared in a recent episode of Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Podcast, Xbox Wire, to talk more. That's the article I had up. This is that article right here. So we might as well just read it from the source. Okay, in recent episodes of the Xbox Podcast, High on Life creator Justin Roiland joined Major Nelson to explain to choose those on Game Pass lineup after having done a lot of research on the service. Before he decided to pull the trigger on it, he spoke with a handful of other studios folks who did Game Pass. Now, Roiland explained that they ultimately came to the conclusion based off what he heard that is the value added, because essentially there's a lot of people that would otherwise not have picked up the game and played it. Now, and those people, if you believe in what we've made, then you really feel confident that you've made something special or different. And if we do our game, those folks become ancestors of ways to the title. Now, we announced yesterday that High on Life becoming a Game Pass biggest launch in 2022, the biggest third-party Game Pass launch of all time, and the biggest release of single-player only game in the service history. A lot of folks told me that Game Pass games that ship versus Game Pass games get a 7 times sales. A lot of folks told me that non-Game Pass games that they ship versus Game Pass games get a 7 times sale. Joining the Game Pass wasn't just about reaching people who naturally inserted into game, whether a single player narrative approach or rare status of a true comedy game. The connection of Roland's work of Rick and Morty, but those who might otherwise have looked into playing it. If someone's on the fence or raising an eyebrow that it is a thing, is on Game Pass subscriber, well, they can also just download it and dive into Roiland Explain. Now, Roland's research helped him conclude that Game Pass is a powerful tool to get a lot of people's the reach. If you really do believe that they made something worthwhile, it's a pretty powerful tool, and that is gather and doing due diligence on their own. Now, a lot of folks told me that non-Game Pass games that they ship versus non-Game Pass games get a 7 times sale. Now, most excitingly for fans, Roiland is in the studio's squash, and the Game Pass won't just help them make High on Life, but future games as well. Quote, "We are an indie studio. We're small, and we do not want to war chest and make a bunch more fun, crazy games. This is also the consideration for us. It's like, okay, we really want this game to get out there. We want it to do, and we want the sales to do well." And I think that, from the gathering of my little poking around and asking different folks if Game Pass was a huge value added in respect, Roiland talked about a lot more besides, including how the game includes secret and details that the players will be discovering for months, and standalone interview is available to watch and listen. That's not saying that he made 7 times the sales. I just wanted to let you know that, Reese. right? The quote is, a lot of folks told me that non-Game Pass games that they ship versus Game Pass games, they get 7 times sales. Nowhere in that sentence does it say we got 7 times the sales. So that doesn't go against the narrative. Also, the article that I read from the publisher of Tunic and other independent games, they also said it's good but bad because some games get the recognition, like Tunic, like High on Life. But you know the biggest factor of these games? Hi-Fi Rush, Tunic, and now High on Life, okay? They're good games. Imagine that. Make a game, sell a game. If they're selling that game to Microsoft itself so they can put it on the Game Pass service, or if they make a game, put it out there, and people start playing the game and it gets a word of mouth because it's an actual good game. I know it's amazing. What a response. The response from the devs is the exact opposite of the narrative? No, it's not. That's a statement of talking to other people saying a lot of folks told me that non-Game Pass games that they ship versus Game Pass games get 7 times the sales. The narrative that's being spoken of now is that Hi-Fi Rush outsold Forspoken on Steam. Doesn't say anything about Game Pass and how many people played it on Game Pass. And if we come out and 2 million people played it on Game Pass, I want to know that number. On Game Pass, that 2 million people downloaded and played it, how many people bought it afterwards? That's what I want to know. How many people played it on Game Pass and then purchased that game after on Game Pass? Until they put those numbers up and put them out there, which they will never do, there is no actual conversation that Game Pass is not hurting the gaming industry. Because if you give me, okay, if we're playing Yahtzee and I roll those dice, somebody's going to get Yahtzee more times than the other person getting Yahtzee. You see what I'm saying? If we talk to the devs and they say Game Pass games get 7 times the sales versus non-Game Pass games, that's the opposite of the narrative. That's talking to folks speaking out about what they've heard. A lot of folks told me that non-Game Pass games that they ship versus Game Pass games, they get 7 times the sales. There's no proof. The proof is in the receipts, and there are no receipts. So the narrative is that still to this day, that if there's more people playing Game Pass games and they're downloading that game, sure, they're making sales. That's not the question. The question is, are they getting less sales? Because getting 7 times more sales and going, well, I thought I was only going to sell 100,000 copies, but now we sold 700,000 copies. Well, that's fantastic. How many sales did you get off of Game Pass? I also want to know the money that he got up front for that game. Because if the chunk of the change is up front saying, well, we thought we were going to sell 100,000 copies. They paid us for 300,000 copies. And then we made on top. Where are they making the money from? What number's a lot? A studio size reaches various. Right. What is the number of actual, again, independent developers? Okay. Not first party, not third party. High on Life employees. High on Life Enterprises, employees in High on Enterprise. Do we have that's LinkedIn. Do we know how many employees do they have? 50. 11 to 50. Oh, that's High on Life company. No. What's the Justin Rowland, developer, publisher, Squash Games. Okay, Squash Games. How many employees does they have? So hiring Squash Games. They have less than 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30 employees, right? That is a small-ass studio. And, of course, it works for them. And that's also not the conversation we're having about independent developers. What number is a lot? The studio size and reaches varies. The amount has to recoup labor and then the green enough to make another game. Right. So if you make a game and you have 30 employees and each employee, let's say, makes, I don't know, $100,000, right? $100,000. Hold on one second. We'll do some $100,000 a year times 30 is $3 million. Let's say it took them 3 years to make that game. It's $9 million. $9 million. Okay. So divide that by 30, right? How much was High on Life? How much was High on Life? Was it a $40 game? Was it a $30 game? Was it a $60 game? I don't know, because I was on Game Pass, so I don't know. Okay. I'm going to say it was a $30 game. Okay. They have to sell 300,000 copies. Okay. 300,000 copies to recoup the $9 million for the 3 years. My thoughts on this, will Game Pass hurt game sales? Yes and no, if you don't look at different ways on this. You know what I'm saying, 30? Let me read that again. My thoughts on this, will Game Pass hurt game sales? Yes and no, if you look different ways on this. I think I see what you're saying, right? So my point that I'm trying to make, Jesse, is that if a game comes out and it sells 200,000 copies on Steam, I mean, bravo. 1 million people play the game. Now, they probably wouldn't have had 1 million people buy their game, but they had 1 million people play their game. And they made $200,000 sales. But the other 800,000 people didn't purchase it. They just played it on Game Pass. Well, potentially, if the game comes out and it's a good game, and those people that bought the 200,000, word of mouth would have got out, and out of those other 800,000 people that bought the game, they could have sold more games. But why would they when it's on Game Pass, right? A studio with 5 employees that would get 20,000 people to play the game is going to get a lot more than 7 times, and Microsoft's put the game on Game Pass, right? But a larger game, like the Rat game with the 400,000 audience, isn't going to get the same multiplier as 20,000 games. Correct, Krebsy. Yeah. Maybe we're talking past each other. He wasn't talking of... Yorno is talking to the devs. He's shipping games on Game Pass and not on Game Pass. Those devs told him games we ship on Game Pass sell 7 times. They sell 7 times. So you're telling me that 1 million people played it on Game Pass, and 700,000 people that played it on Game Pass, okay, purchased the game after they played it. I don't believe it. High on Life, Ghostface says it was $60. $60. All right, well, even better. Thanks for that number. Okay. 9 million divided by 60. 150,000 copies. So now, let's times that by 7. So they sold 1 million. 1.5 million copies of High on Life outside of Game Pass. Now, how many people on Game Pass played that game and didn't spend 1 cent? I'm one. How many other people played it on Game Pass and didn't buy it? And how many people bought it? In just our small little community here. How many people played High on Life? Right? How many people played High on Life? And how many people bought High on Life? To be honest, Game Pass is like, try it before you buy it, gaming industry. Here's a perfect example, right? I just looked at the stat yesterday of completing Star Wars Legos. Star Wars Legos on Xbox. How many people do you think, percent-wise? Now, let me put this in perspective. I don't know that. I think the total sales is like 10 million copies sold or something like that. Let me see. Lego Star Wars, Skywalker Saga sales total. I don't think they're going to tell us, but Let's see. How many copies of Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga sold? The game sold more than 3.2 million copies within the first 2 weeks of release. But I guess that's on... Is that on Steam only? Like, where did they get that number from? Where did they get that number from? Entries into Skywalker, characters based on gameplay, development, release, downloadable. They don't tell you where they got that number from, and that's a problem. But let's just say 10 million. Let's split the player base up, right? Let's say it's 3 million on PC, 3 million on PlayStation, and 4 million on Xbox. Okay, so 4 million people on Xbox played Lego Star Wars. Now, let's just say all those people got it on Game Pass, because I played on Game Pass, even though I bought it on Switch. Okay, I bought it on Switch, playing it on Game Pass, and I completed the game. Completed all 9 episodes, just running through the story. How many percent of the people do you think finished that game out of the 100% of 4 million people? Travis says 20. Krebsy says 18 to 22%. The statement is about Game Pass subs playing and then buying. He doesn't claim to know how or why Game Pass games sell more. They just say they just do. There's no proof of that. You see what I'm saying? They don't show that number, though. So you're telling me if 1 million people bought High on Life, 1 million people played it on Game Pass, 700,000 people bought it after they tried it on Game Pass. We have 20 people in chat right now. 3 of us played it for free without buying it, right? So if that census, that's 30%. That right there is already showing you no proof. Maybe 25 Game Pass lets you try it, man. Maybe, right? So the percentage is less, just above 10%. Just above 10%. So if they sold 1 million copies, right, 100,000 people got it. So 400,000 people got to 10% of finishing the game. Now, those people didn't spend money, right? Just percentage-wise, didn't spend money. They played it on Game Pass. There's no way it's 7 times the sales of Game Pass. Until they show us numbers, my argument has more proof than the people that say it does. Redfall is going to hurt by Game Pass too. Why would you pre-order a game that's coming to Game Pass? You even get the extras if you play it on Game Pass. Yeah, exactly. And my whole point of this, Water, besides what the article's saying, that High Five Rush outsold Forspoken and it's making more money or whatever. Their Game Pass itself, okay, is what they're selling. Game Pass, the product of Game Pass is what they're selling. They don't care if you buy the game, right? They don't care. No, you don't? What do you mean? I don't need receipts on my end because they're not showing receipts on their end, right? You don't get extras to pay for extras? Yes, you do. On Game Pass, you get the Hero Pack. Let's bring it up for you. You get it. You get the actual extras for if you're talking about Redfall mode, you get the extras without purchasing it. Where is it? Where you guys have it? Okay. Pre-order now or play with Game Pass to receive Vampire Hunter Pack. Why would I pre-order if I have Game Pass and I get the actual Vampire Hunter Pack? You have to pay for it for $30. No, you don't. That's false. That's false. Look, receipt. Here's the receipt. Pre-order now or play with Game Pass to receive Vampire Hunter Pack. I think that's worded wrong. I think your misinformation is wrong because that's exactly what it says. That's a promotion thing from them. And if it doesn't do it, I got the receipts, and they better give it to me. Right, that's misadvertising. That's a big no-no. Yeah, you see it. See, I don't spread false information. Okay, if it's my theory, I tell you my theory. Now, Game Pass to me, again, I say it's a great value, but to tell me that you're selling 7 times more games off of Game Pass, which I can't imagine that someone played a game, completed that game, and then bought that game for later on for a first-party title, right? Or a third-party title. I just can't imagine it. And if you did buy it, here's another ridiculous thing. So you played the entire game for free or for a low cost of Game Pass, okay? You beat the game, and then instantaneously you buy it at a 10% discount instead of just waiting for it to go on sale. Seems a little weird, doesn't it? Say it with me, chat. Game Pass. 7 times more. That's good old... Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I think digital period is hurting the industry, but yeah. Well, digital's not hurting the industry. It's not. They're making way more money on digital than they did on physical because they're saving an additional 16% or like 22%. I forget what it is because they don't have to ship out they don't have to print out the labels. They don't have to put it in plastic anymore. They're not printing it on a disc anymore. There's no instruction manual anymore. They're saving so much more money by putting it digitally. Game Pass is like a gorgeous ex. You know she's amazing until you realize she's actually toxic as hell. Look, Game Pass, again, I said it in my statement. I'm not shitting on Game Pass. I'm a buyer of Game Pass. It's a phenomenal deal, and that's not the argument we're having, right? The article that we read from Jez Corden from Windows Central says that the narrative, okay, the actual title of the thing is that the narrative, okay, Hi-Fi Rush shatters the narrative that Xbox Game Pass hurts game sales, and that's false. Until you can actually prove a receipt to show me that Hi-Fi Rush sold more copies than who tried it or played it on Game Pass. Because if you tried it, meaning you didn't buy it, meaning you just downloaded it and played it, that number, now we're comparing it to the other article of High on Life, has to be 7 times more than the people that tried it out on Game Pass, and I doubt that. The Hunter Pack isn't the Hero Pass. I never said it was. All I said was that that's pre-order now and get the Game Pass to receive Vampire Hunter Pack. Nowhere did I say the pass. I said Vampire Hunter Pack. And the point of this is, Mo, is why would I pre-order to get this if I can just get it on Game Pass? But you're taking the claim he made way further than anyone has gone. His claim was just that launching on Game Pass increases sales. Show me the receipts, Reese. Especially since they get a lump sum up front. We know this because Phil Spencer said so. Each deal's different. You get the guns, I see, but that's not the whole thing. There's a Hero Pass that you can purchase. Sure. But that's not what we were talking about. I think they showed how many players are playing, and more than how many players sell, they are so scared that they are hiding how many players that buy the game. If this is true, that's just my guess. Right. Look, I can... If I hid my viewer count right now, on YouTube, okay, I could say that there's 200 people watching my stream. Right? If I don't show you the actual number, I can make up whatever I want. Is that right? Right? Hey, thanks for... If I spew it out of my mouth, is it true? No. No, it's not. right? If I say, hey, thanks for the 200 people that are watching this right now, I really appreciate it. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. This is the largest we've ever had on our stream. It's amazing. Thank you so much, right? If you don't see that number, you're just like, oh, wow, he's got 200 people in the chat. And I can be like, oh, man, when I don't show my number, it's 7 times more popular than I am when I show my number. I'm going to say it here right now. Right before Starfield drops, expect Game Pass price increase. I don't think they will do that, Water. I think they have to wait till they get the first-party titles. So, for instance, I would say that they'll raise the price once they have a good another 10 first-party title games in Game Pass, right? Once the first-party title games start to accumulate onto Game Pass. So let's say they drop a first-party title game every single day or every single month of the year. By next year, they'll raise the price. They'll raise the price because they want you the value. The value is that we have these many games. They're getting recognition. And of course, they were going to raise the price. I'd be curious to know if Microsoft's counting the Game Pass downloads as purchases. I wouldn't put that past them. Who knows what they're doing? That counts as trying the game. Me downloading it, me playing it for 1 minute, me getting the set place in game, me thinking about the game. Right. So now on top of nobody getting Starfield, now they're doing Game Pass either. What's first party games do they have? Well, okay, so they showed 5, right? So we know 5 games are coming out at least this year. 6 with Starfield, because you got Hi-Fi Rush, you got Forza Motorsports, you got Minecraft Legends, you got Redfall, you got Starfield, and you got ESO, right? ESO. That's 6 games, okay? Obviously, ESO is already on there, so the DLC. We'll take that one off. So there's 5 games that are brand new games coming out, okay? And then whatever other games that are coming out, like Age and whatever else they're adding to it, okay? That's not a first-party title game, so I'll take that one back, right? So there's 5 first-party title games, and there potentially could be like 3 more, 4 more for the rest of the year. So if they add 8 games this year to Game Pass, that's more value, right? Regardless if you like the games or not, that's besides the point. If they get 8 more games of first-party titles, that's 8 more games, right, that they put onto Game Pass of first-party titles. That's a better value. You can't argue, right? It's a better value. Just on a generalistic form, Game Pass has 8 more first-party title games onto Game Pass. Rumor is that Starfield's in bad shape, so prepare or excuses. Sorry. Starfield ain't coming this year. You have a higher chance of getting me to believe that the day before is coming out, and then Bethesda game with delays. I think 100% it's coming out this year. It's going to come out this year, regardless if it's buggy or not. And they have the luxury of doing that because of Game Pass. And they need to raise the price now because the games like Starfield, Avowed, Fable, Outer Worlds, Elder Scrolls 6, I'm worried Xbox won't have enough to go around to get better quality over quantity. I don't think they can, though, Bearcox. I mean, okay, let's say they do raise the price. What is that price they raise it to for perception of value to what it is? Because right now, I think it's a steal, right? Right now, it's a steal. Because if we go to the list of Game Pass, right? Let me go to the list of Game Pass. List of Game Pass games, Xbox, explore the game library. Do we have day one? Where is it? Give me this. Let's explore the games. $20 games per page? No. Give me 200 games per page. Leaving soon. Play day one. Bethesda. I want all games. Show me all games. Browse all games. Oh, do I have to sign in? Okay, am I signed in now? You gonna show me all the games? There we go. All right. So let's bring this up. I'm Okay, let's bring this up. Now, value. Now, this is all console, not PC. This is just console games. Okay. So the Persona games, value alone, right? You're paying $10, right? $10 for good games. These are good games. Okay. This is me not shitting on games. This is me showing you good games on Game Pass that are worth what it is. Okay. I'm sorry there's no dark mode on this, and if there is, I can't seem to find it. So put your sunglasses on and get ready. So you got Persona, okay? The Star Wars Skywalker Saga alone, okay? It's third party, but alone is worth 7 months worth of Game Pass, right? If you paid $70 for this Star Wars game, I believe it's worth it. Price admission alone, okay? Monster Hunter Rise, even though I didn't like it, it's a good value for the game, right? That alone, I would think, is also worth. So for the entire year, if you pay $10, it's $120 a year. All we got to do is pull out 2 games, 2 full price games. Okay. So let's see. High on Life was a $60 game, right? Great game. Short game, great game. That's $60 right there. Okay. Let's go down over here and see if we can find another one. Okay. These are older games. That's an older game, but still, right? All we need is one more game to get the value of what it is. And I'm trying to find a really good game. It's Crackdown 3. That's the really good game. Okay? Look at all the games I'm passing right now. Right? All the games. Hell, Dead Space, right? There's Dead Space. When it comes out to Game Pass later, that'll be worth the other $60 or $70 that you're going to get. Okay? One of you guys is looking at this going, oh, I like Doom. Oh, I like Dragon Age Inquisition. Oh, the Empire Sun is good, right? But look at all the games. You get the whole series of Fable. You get the whole series of Fallout, right? You get the Far Cry game, Far Cry 5. Most of these games are on sale, right? Right? There's plenty of games on here that is worth the $10. Hell, it's worth $15. I would say it's even worth $30. Okay, but what is that value then, right? So now as you're paying, you look at this and go, all right, well, I'm willing to pay $30 a month. That's $360 a year to pay. That in the bigger scale, you're like, ooh, that worth it? $360 a year, right? Because now that's 4 games, right? Is that 4 games? 2 games is what, 140? It's 280. Yeah, roughly, right? Roughly like 5.5, 6 games, right? So now you're like, is that worth that? Like, what's that price value? How high can they go before you're like, I don't know, right? They don't have to go too high, because if they have 50 million people, 40 million people paying $200 a year, right? That's a lot of money for doing nothing. Right? Most of these games are already out. Most of these games are on sale. They put them on there. They get the extra life in Game Pass itself. If they have microtransactions and stuff, sure, they're making a lot of money. $10 per person, man. I would be pissed. It's worth at least 30. You would be pissed as the company, Travis? I'm confused. Oh, $10 for Persona, man. I'd be pissed if it's worth at least 30. Oh, you're saying the game is worth at least 30. Xbox said last year that the games are going to go from 60 to 70. So Starfield at November last year was $60 game, but now it's $70 game. So do the price increase Xbox have a reason to increase Game Pass price? Sure, it's about value though. I don't think it's about, if Starfield comes out and it's broken buggy, is it worth the $70? That's a bit much. You can't split it, but with the family plan coming out as well, worth it. Right. Because then if you have to pay $25, well, here's my thing. Right now I pay $15, right, for PC Ultimate or for Game Pass Ultimate. My son gets to play right now, right? We have one account for $15 and 2 of us are playing off of Game Pass. Well, if they close that down and now I got to pay $25, they're getting a $10 increase off of me, right? And that's for the family plan. Let's see here. I don't even smoke, but it makes me think that there's always rising cost of cigarettes. The $10 price increase is to fund the Elder Scrolls status or statue. But most subscription services offer more for less. Offer more for less. What subscription service offers more for less, Ghost? Like Netflix is like $15, $17 or whatever it is now. The top tier of PlayStation's $25. Is it not? If Starfall Field is buggy in any way, fans would have been waiting for the game outside of Bethesda heads who want the broken game, will be angry, and won't even waste their time playing it. I read an article. I got to find the article, Water. I actually watched a video of a guy reading the article of the Starfield fans, and I don't know whose fan these are, will be upset if the game comes out not broke or buggy because they like it. And I'm like, what kind of take is this? Who wants a broken, buggy game? See Halo Infinite. True, it's not going to be worth it if everyone, but if you had to find a few friends, split the family plan, which lets 5 people on it, you could be paying less than you are now. Dumb for Xbox. Well, why would I pay? But here's the thing. Why would I'm happy where I'm at 15. Right? If I got to pay 25 for me and my son, why do I have to recruit my neighbors to come in so I get a better deal? That doesn't seem like a better deal to me. It seems like a more of a pain in the ass. Hey, Rich, can you pay me your monthly subscription? I got Game Pass and you didn't pay me last month, right? It's like asking roommates for fucking rent money. I don't want to deal with that at all. What if you expect Bethesda games not to be buggy at launch? That's on you. Infinite is great, man. It just had 0 Infinite content or effing content after the first month. Now I'll admit it's the desync to attraction. Right. Hey, look, you guys look at Halo Infinite as going, it's a great game. I look at it as a incomplete game at launch because it didn't have all the stuff it's supposed to have at launch. They launched it a year after, and it still didn't have all the features at launch. So to me, that's a failed game coming out. You meal piecing it together a year and a half afterwards is not, you don't get an applaud from me. Be going, oh, wow, it's a pretty good game. It would have been a really great game if they didn't do what they did in the process of the game. Think how much better it would have been. But if you increase, you can add Sarge to your family plan and could play too. I can do that right now, Mo, without doing anything. You're allowed to have another shared account. I could literally have Sarge, my son, and myself. I've been doing this for years. For years. I had a buddy, a cousin of mine in Canada. We used to swap back and forth. Okay. So it's not a better value for me. It's actually a worse value for me. It's actually a better value right now. I could literally share my Game Pass with my brother and my son and not pay any more. No, I was saying that others that are able to do that, it's certain that they are not going to keep the $15 single tier. Oh, sure. No, they're definitely going to, in my opinion, I think they're going to raise everything up 5. Single users, everything's going to get up 5. It's going to go from 10 to 15 and 15 to 20, and the family plan will be 25. That's my opinion. My friend theorized that Disney movies are so bad that they're doing encouraging fan fiction writers to write plots that they can steal. Well, Disney itself, most of their stories are off the Grimm stories, which were public domain stuff, so they didn't have to pay anybody. And now what they do when they buy companies up like Marvel and Disney and all the writers that are there, they can just steal the work of stuff without paying the writers, which they've done. Yes, I agree with the gameplay is good, but the game was very incomplete management in 2019 screwed up. Yeah, and that's the bigger picture. And it goes into a whole other conversation about Xbox, and we've had this conversation in the past about the 18-month, contract workers and whatnot. They did the same thing that Paramount Plus did with the Halo name. They could have called it Guy in Spartan Suit. Right. They could have had just a completely different... that's what they're doing. There's a movie coming out on Netflix that was supposed to be a Star Wars show. I forget what it's called. I think it was by Zack Snyder. Okay? And now they just dropped the Star Wars and they're just making it a space sci-fi thing. Technically what they could do. So the next day it comes out by Zack Snyder on Netflix, that was supposed to be a Star Wars show. Just remember that when you watch it. You would still be able to do the 15 though. 30 is going to be another choice. Well, as of right now, Mo, you're assuming that once the family plans come in, they're not going to close down what's happening right now with the sharing stuff. Netflix is closing off. They're about to lose 100 million subscribers because they're stopping at the end of March or the end of February. They're cutting off people that are sharing passwords. Okay? They're about to lose 100 million people on Netflix because of it. How do you do two people? You have to make your home box the other box, and then they log in. So right now, my son, he's logged in. He's the home box. I have my account. He's got his account. And then you can just download the games from Game Pass and then put them on your hard drive. My mic is cutting out a lot. I have no idea. On my end, it doesn't sound like it's cutting out. Is anybody else noticing if my volume is cutting out? Dude, before Halo even dropped in Paramount, I heard that the lead writer for the show had never even heard of Halo before, and the show didn't do any research. Like what? Yeah, I don't even want to get into that, Bear Cox. Like I'm so upset when companies use an IP, but they don't use the lore of the IP. They're just like, we're just going to make fan fiction. Do they think that 100 million people are going to sign up? That what they're trying to do, Sarge, at least what the rumors are. So the people that are using this shared account, when they log in, because they know, because of your IP address and stuff, right? A thing will pop up trying to promote you to get the service. Here's the thing I don't understand. As a Netflix person, I used to travel a lot. Okay. So I have Netflix at my house. I have Netflix on my phone. And if I go somewhere, like if I go to a hotel room, I can log into my Netflix account because it has my list of stuff. How are they going to defend against that? Right? I can literally log into my phone when I'm in like Arizona or Canada or whatever, and it's my password. And are they going to tell me that I'm sharing my password? How do they know where I'm at? What am I supposed to call in like we did in the old days? I'm going overseas. I need to change my SIM card. Like, what are we talking about here? It's a Netflix password. Probably my end in Texas. We don't know if this is white crap on the ground. Is snow? Oh, you have snow there right now? It's probably pandemonium in Texas. I was in Austin, Texas one time when it snowed and people lost their freaking minds. They were abandoning their cars on the road. I was like, what's happening right now? The same with Evan Witcher, man. I love the Witcher shows. Right openly, didn't know the source material. Cavill left over it. Yep. So is Cavill sexist and racist and misogynistic because they didn't follow the lore? Yeah, get out of here with that crap by them. You know what I mean? How hard is it? Hey, we're going to make a show about this because this IP is really famous because people really love this IP. We're going to take this and we're going to change it because that's what the fans want. They want to change this, and this, and they're going to love it. No, we're not. No, you're good, Bearcox. Welcome to 30 NSG, where you can rant and rave about anything you want in chat, and sometimes I'll pick up off of you and start conversating with you, and other times I'll just let you go, let you rant about stuff. Nah, man, you'll have to pay for each device. Right. You know, the part that between one other person didn't know you can do it with two people. Yep. And you can change it every was it like 6 months or something like that? They love shitting on nostalgia. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And the people, right? Like if I was a fan of something for 20 years, right? And then you come along, is it 3 times a year? Thank you, Coach Family, right? If I'm a fan of something for 20 years, diehard, bought your toys and shirts and movies and whatever else, and then someone happens to find it. They're like 8 years old, No, let me put it this way. They're 20 years old. Now, I've been watching it for 20 years. They're 20 years old, and they've never watched it before. And all of a sudden, they come across the IP that I like. And then all of a sudden, they're like, man, I would really like this IP if it was this. And they're like, yeah, let's switch it to this. And you already have a fan built in. Like, you already have a whole population built into this. And all of a sudden, you change it and go, well, those people are just racist and sexist and misogynistic because they don't like what we're doing. It's like, no. What are you talking about? You have this IP and you have this fan base, and all of a sudden you're changing the fan base and then telling me I'm the problem. The only reason you have your IP with all of this money and of this huge, the only reason you're this huge IP is because of me, because of people like me that bought all your stuff for the last 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades. It's ridiculous. Now I'm ranting. I mean, there's a little extreme, but yeah, somewhat accurate. We heard you like Scooby-Doo. Well, how about we shit on Scooby-Doo? That's right. I love when they do this. I love when they do this, Reese. Huge fan of He-Man. Watched all the shows in He-Man. Big fan of He-Man. Love Scooby-Doo. I love all the characters of Scooby-Doo. My favorite character of Scooby-Doo was this character, right? And then all of a sudden, the show comes out. It's not even the characters. Not even the characters. You're like, I thought you said you were a big fan. You were a big fan. It's so ridiculous. Did you hear they want to reboot Die Hard with Stephen Amell? I didn't, and good luck to him. I like Stephen Amell, but I will not watch it. I will not watch it. Hashtag not my Die Hard. Multiple books, games, huge fan base. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Damn it, 30. Now I'm pissed. Yeah. All right, let me calm you down a little bit. Let me calm you down a little bit, Bearcox. You're part of the 3 people who are whining, so you don't matter. Exactly. Right. It's reverse psychology now. I just hate the Battle Royale era. Just each their own. Oh, you're talking about the BRs for gaming, OG. Yeah, it's just a thing. And what's that next? I think the Extraction games is the next, like, 3 to 5 years. BR are still going to be there, but now that Extraction, like Tarkov type stuff's going to come in. I was watching a video the other day. See, and this is how we go off on tangents here. I was watching a video the other day, and did you know the top selling games in video games right now are all made by companies that basically, like, they weren't games. Like, a AAA studio didn't make them. Like, the BR genre is made by independent developers that were mods. So, like, the biggest selling games right now were because of fans that took something and made a mod for that thing. And that's the biggest genre right now. And then the companies started making games like that. Imagine that. The own industry couldn't even come up with the actual thing that's selling. The fans had to come up with a genre that they liked, and then it took off. Amazing. MOBAs, Battle Royales, all mods from fans. Yeah, surprise. Yeah. The new She-Man show where Tila holds her sword aloft, the shouts, not gonna do it, Reese. Not gonna say it. Yeah, it's so weird. Pussification of America. Yeah, you're right, Mo. You're right. Franchise IPs, how we make it more ship more views and making it sticking with the lore. Yeah, it's so aggravating. Imagine the brands that are coming up right now. Independent companies that are making new comic books or new films or new shows that they're building up a client base right now. They're building up a fan base right now. And 10, 15 years from now, that IP is going to be huge, right? And then all of a sudden they change it and go, nope. I can't wait. I can't wait for the people that wrecked my IP. I'm going to wait 15, 20 years. I'm going to wait to see what that soy boy hipster stuff that everyone likes. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to start complaining about their stuff that they like to change it for me. I'm going to hijack their stuff just like they hijacked mine. Can't wait. Can't wait. That's right, Travis. This is the emblem for psychopath man. That's right. Hashtag patent pending. Psychopath man. That's right. It's so ridiculous, man. It's so ridiculous. Trying to get back on topic here for Game Pass, right? Oh, sorry. Sociopath. Right? Trying to get back on the topic of Game Pass, right? Again, I'm not arguing that it's not a great value. And I can't imagine any of you out there that have a good job and have the benefit of, or blessed that you can just go out and buy whatever you want, right? New game comes out, like you're paying $70 for Hogwarts Legacy. Maybe you're buying 5 copies for your nephews and nieces and significant others. Maybe the Jedi Fallen Survivor comes out and you start buying 5 copies of that. You're giving them out to everybody. Like, fantastic, right? But for the majority of the population, no one's going out and going to the car dealership or going to buy a refrigerator and going, how much is that? And they go, $10,000. Like, all right, here you go, $10,000. No negotiation, no nothing, right? You can't negotiate video games. You have to wait for them to go on sale. So you're like, all right, it comes out at $70. You're like, is that value of that game worth the $70? And you're like, not this game, but this game is, right? I'm interested in this IP. I'll pay $70 for this, but I'm not going to pay $70 for this. I'm going to wait for this to go on sale. Like, we look for deals. You look for bargains. This is why there's a whole industry, or there was a whole industry of secondhand games from GameStop. This is why you did trades with people. There's still people that trade games for other people. They're like, hey, I got this game. You want to trade this game? And they still do it with the bartering system type of thing, right? You can't tell me the majority of the population, okay? We all know that 20% make 80% of the revenue for most companies, okay? That's a stat that's factual. 20% make 80% financially for most companies. So the other 80% are looking for deals. The other 80% are probably having Game Pass. The other 80% are probably waiting for games to go on sale and getting bundles and then getting their backlog of games so they can play, because they don't want to play or pay full price for games. I think we should release all the assets of Avengers and just let the fans create the magic. There's a petition going out right now, Water. I think it's over 2,000 now. People, which is probably the full player base, I'll be honest with you, across all the platforms. 2,000 people are interested in making like Marvel's Avengers 2. And they're talking about like release the code. Like, there was a small conversation between Miller and like Paul Tassi got involved. Miller came out and said that a game came out recently and they opened up the source code and people already started making it. Spellbreakers, right? Was out and about, got canceled, and now they opened up the source code and now people are already running with that source code and then making the game. They're saying do the same thing with Marvel's Avengers. The problem with that is the IP. Marvel's Avengers is copyright claim and stuff like that. The IP is licensed from Marvel. There's another game that did this. Sony Entertainment had Star Wars Galaxies online. It went under. Sony Entertainment said we're not dealing with it anymore, and the fans continued making the game for a decade afterwards. So there could be something along the lines of that happening, like under the thing, and they might get sued or whatnot. But if a company is not going to use the brand, then what's the big deal, right? If you don't want, see, this is the weird part. They got upset because they couldn't make the money that they wanted to make, but then the people started making the game of Star Wars Galaxies, and then people started paying for a private server and stuff, and they got upset. And they're like, well, you can't make money off of us. Why? You're not selling it. So let it open up. Let it open up to the people. If the customers can make a better game than you, that's on you, my friend, right? Make a better game. Make a better game. Remember when Xbox didn't let you share games at the start of the One era? Yeah. Well, that was a different CEO. That wasn't Phil Spencer. When Phil Spencer came on, he had a completely different mindset. Game Pass and GameFly is how I play most games, unless it's a banger like Hogwarts. Right. And by that mentality, I think you are the majority, OG, right? I think you're the majority. Most people will do that. Like back in the day, before we had Game Pass, I did the exact same thing. I played Mass Effect 2, okay, from GameFly. I played so many games from GameFly. Like, as soon as I beat the game, I buy the game. Now, did I go out and buy Mass Effect 2 afterwards? I sure did, because that game itself is the value of what it was and what I did. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go buy this game because it's such a good game, right? Because it didn't make sense to get it from GameFly and keep it month after month to play the game. So I was like, I'm going to buy the game and then go get other games on GameFly, right? That's what majority of people should do. So on Game Pass, you could be like, well, if it's a game like, let's just say Hogwarts Legacy was on Game Pass, why would you buy it? Unless that's the only game you're buying or like playing, and then your service on Game Pass doesn't make sense, because why pay $120 for that game when you could just go out and pay $70 for the game? A lot of people, fly by night, we're talking 20%, majority, maybe even 1% of the population is going to go, yeah, I'm going to buy this game from Game Pass after I play it. Very small people are going to buy it, convert it that way. If it's a game that's hundreds of hours, there's no point of actually playing it unless you're playing like Elder Scrolls Online, because that's a subscription service type of thing. But even then, you might as well just buy the game at that point for games like that, where you're just playing one game solid. I just bought an amazing game, Sleeping Dogs, for $5 on PSN, and the game was far better than the Elden Ring Dog Water. I got it for a steal. Well, yeah, but what year did that come out? When did Sleeping Dogs come out? It came out in like 2010, didn't it? 2011? I always share on the one unless it was physical. Hell, someone who played Star Wars Galaxies. I love Star Wars Galaxies. To this day, Travis, is one of the best MMOs ever. It was such ahead of its time. Still has systems in that game that they don't do in MMOs today. And it wasn't the failure part of it. The failure part of that game was that they made everyone a goddamn Jedi at the start. Like 9 months after it came out. Mo now just said he buys 3 games a year. In the past, he says he buys more games because of Game Pass. I'm either confused or contradicting yourself. Mo plays a lot of games. Mo, would you play as many games as you do right now if it wasn't for Game Pass? Did you hear about the fan who remade Capcom just shut down? No, I did not. I got the Autobots Arc Ship Transformers. That thing is huge. I saw it, Stealth. I saw that when I was on vacation last year. I went to a small mom and pop shop comic book store, and they had that up on top. It was like, I think it was like $200 or something like that. And I was like, ooh. I was like, no. I really said no, because I can't afford that. And my wife was with me. She gave me a look like, I was like, nah, just looking. I'm just holding the box in my hands, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just looking, just fantasizing. Okay, Sleep Dogs was good, but it ain't better than Elden Ring. But Sleep Dogs is like, when did it come out? Yeah, 2011. It's 11 years old. Travis just hates Elden Ring, which is fine. Game Pass will get its worth for me from Starfield, Forza, and Redfall. The extras were Hi-Fi and the Age of Empire drops, which is nice. But I also gonna buy Hogwarts and Star Wars and Diablo, so I broke. Here's the thing though, Bearcox, right? So you're playing a lot on Game Pass. Think about this, right? So Redfall comes out in May. Do you think? And I have a question, because Hogwarts is going to be a pretty big game. I don't know how many hours you play a day, okay? But if you buy Hogwarts, and Hogwarts is a 40-hour main campaign, over 100 hours of extra, if you do the side quests and want 100% it completed, and then if you don't get lost in the world and do whatever, or do multiple playthroughs, right? So if you play each house and you go through the game, you're probably playing like 400 hours. Now, if you only play 40 hours a week is a big time. I don't even play 40 hours a week, right? And this is what I do. Okay, I play on average. I think it's like 20. No, not even 2, 4, 6, maybe 15 hours a week, right? That's gonna take me a lot of weeks, right? 15 hours a week. I'll say 20 hours a week, right? To play through the game itself, I mean, it's going to take me months. So you getting Hogwarts, is it worth you getting Game Pass for those months? Right? Because then Star Wars comes out. And then after Star Wars, Diablo comes out. So it's like, is Game Pass, because we all have the same amount of time, is Game Pass worth it for you to play hi-fi and stuff like that? I pull some all-nighters and just get tired for a few weeks. I got about 9 to 5, 2 little girls, and I play about 10 to 20 hours a week when the house is asleep. Right, that's basically what I do. I play at night. I don't play during the day. I could play now, but we have conversations during the day. I might have like an hour in the afternoon sometime, but for majority of the time, I'm playing from like 8 to midnight on weekdays. And then on the weekends, I do the same thing. I tuck my kid in, and then I play for like another 2 hours, 3 hours or so. So if you think about it, right? Because if I was paying for myself, if I wasn't a streamer, to play all these games and try all these games out, okay, like for instance, we're playing Power Wash Simulator tonight. The DLC is coming out. It's free for Game Pass, so I'm going back in tonight. We're going to play that at 8 p.m. tonight, okay? I wouldn't purchase that game. I wouldn't even try that game because if it wasn't for Game Pass. Now, I'm not giving a sale to them. I'm not buying the DLC. I'm just literally trying it and showing it out so maybe other people would be interested in the game, right? I'm not advertised by them. I'm not getting paid by them. But if I wasn't a content creator, I don't know if I would have Game Pass because my son plays it more than I do. He downloads games all the time. He just started playing Skate 3. Then he downloaded City Skylines. Then he downloaded some train game. Then he put Farm Simulator back on. Like, he's constantly switching games. If I had to pay money out of my pocket every single time my son wanted to play a different game, I would be broke. I would have to be a homeless guy on the corner of the street begging for money. Instead, I'm a YouTuber. You know what I mean? So there's a lot that I wouldn't do because I don't think it's worth it if I wasn't, because I don't have the time. If I'm paying a monthly fee and I'm only playing one game that I paid $70 for the next 3 months, then I wouldn't pay the $10. You know what I mean? To shut down. Okay, well, let me go back up here. Travis says they shut down a fan remake of Code Victoria. Fans, and they have been asking for years if Capcom said no. The day they announced the fan remake, Capcom said, "Oh, you can't because we're making it. We're making one." Ah, see, yeah. Imagine the outrage. I just filled out a survey by Microsoft. Right? I couldn't do the survey because I didn't really play Halo. I didn't play Halo at all besides the multiplayer, and I was like, interesting how you're coming out with a survey for a game that you just said that no one's interested in. Right? So apparently they're making something, or they're going to be changing something in the near future. I mean, Duke Nukem Forever is greater than Elden Ring. What about Candy Crush? Is that greater than Elden Ring, Travis? Will Hogwarts Legacy ever come to Game Pass within 1 year or 2 years after PlayStation exclusive deal is over? I know it'll be a bang on Game Pass thoughts. It all depends. It all depends, Jesse. If it goes on to sell 10 million copies, if it goes on to sell 15 million copies or some, if it does like I say I think it's going to do with like be up there amongst Cyberpunk and stuff like that, I don't think we see Hogwarts Legacy come to Game Pass for years, right? I don't think we see it for years, like 2 years, 3 years, all depending if it sells really good. If it comes out and it doesn't sell very well, then no, right? Or if it doesn't sell very well, then maybe yes, is what I meant to say, right? But if I said no because I read Krebsy's thing, right? So I don't think it comes to Game Pass for years, okay? It's just that type of game. It's third-party game. PlayStation has it for a year exclusive, so we're already talking about 1 year before it comes to the rest of the consoles for PC and Xbox and whatnot to get that other shop and dungeon or whatever. So I don't see it personally coming to Game Pass anytime soon. What's going on, B? My point was, I bet you Capcom didn't even start working on it until the fans started taking money off the plate. Companies don't give a shit about the fans, only about the money dollar. Well, can you blame them though, Travis? Right? I don't blame companies for looking for money. It's just funny to me that when something starts to, they think it's not making enough money for them, and then the fans branch off and do their own thing. They're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe we should make money off of it, right? This is hence why Grand Theft Auto takes down people who are doing role-playing stuff because they made their own servers or whatnot. Because why do you think that's happening? I guarantee you Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to have role-playing servers built in to the actual game. Us Sony ponies are getting Beyond Light for free in February. Congratulations. Congratulations. Krebsy, what are you saying no for? What was the no for? Is it farther down? Let me see. We have a survey would like you to see Halo. And yes, Candy Crush is better than Elden Ring. Real Halo fans, we want to see Death of Halo. The real Halo fans want to see the Death of Halo. Only time it goes to Game Pass is if they add a paid DLC or co-op with microtransactions. I don't even see it going to Game Pass that early for that. I think they would keep it out and charge you the DLC and the microtransactions. That would be like, let's say year one is free and clear of microtransactions, Krebsy, in this world. And then all of a sudden, year two of Hogwarts Legacy, they'd announce that it's going to be like co-op / microtransactions. I think they do that for another year because if the money's coming in, they're not going to put it on Game Pass, right? If it's super popular, there's no way they're going to put it on Game Pass. Being a third-party game. Yeah, the game is a absolute banger. It wouldn't make sense for Game Pass until like 5 years, and they want to make it relevant again and possible gain hype for a sequel. Right, Bearcox. So that's my thought process. Let's say Hogwarts Legacy comes out. They'll know within 2 months if they're making a sequel. Right? If it comes out and sells 15 million copies, 20 million copies, they'll know within that time frame. As soon as it hits that mark, they're like, dude, boot it up. We're making a sequel to Hogwarts Legacy, and it'll be Hogwarts Legacy 2. Then around 3 years in, they might go, hey, look, we're putting Hogwarts onto Game Pass to give it a little bit more longevity. And then, like if Krebsy's saying, if it comes out with DLC or co-op down the line, if it's super popular, I don't think it's even less likely to come on Game Pass. It'd be like year 4, right before 5 years later, all of a sudden the next Hogwarts Legacy 2 comes out. You know what I mean? Because if Hogwarts is successful right now in 2023, we ain't seeing Hogwarts Legacy 2 minimum till 2027. Minimum 2027. Let me see what you guys are saying. I agree. From the company standpoint, it's very smart. My point is we don't care about money. We reboot, remake something, and until they see this is serious about spending the money on it. Correct. But then again, you got to remember, if they make a remake and 20% of the fan base makes 80% of the thing, so if Dead Space comes out and let's say it sold 1 million copies, okay, but the first game sold 5 million copies, they're okay with it because the cost of what it cost them to make that game with the IP and all the other stuff, and then what they sold, it's still a win for them. It also depends on how much Xbox would offer the state of the game at the time. Right. Absolutely, Krebsy. Money talks, bullshit walks. So if Microsoft came out and said, "Oh, we'll give you $1 billion to put Game Pass or Hogwarts on Game Pass," that would bring a lot of people in. You know what I mean? I know what you meant. If it's already a success off pre-orders alone. Well, it's number one. It's number one on PlayStation. It's number one on Steam. I believe it's number one on Xbox right now for pre-orders, but we don't know what that numbers are, right? Which doesn't mean much because it's like, let's say the shortest pre-order or the highest pre-orders at the time were like 100,000. It could have 100,001 and be like, it's the biggest pre-orders, for Steam. We don't know those numbers because they don't want to tell us those numbers. And we're right back in full circle. They don't have to share their numbers. Remember, there's 2,000 people watching me right now. Don't look at that number. Don't look at that number right there. That's a fake number, right? There's Disrespect used to do this as a joke, right? He's like, oh, there's 2 million people in the watching me right now in the dome. Meanwhile, he had like 2,000, 22,000 people. He's like, there's 2 million people watching me. Like, that's what it is. You can make up the number as long as no one sees the number. I could see Sony buying Hogwarts devs. Lots of things could happen in 2 years. Sure. You better believe if this game sells and Avalanche Studios comes out, they'll partner up. They'll sell, because if right now this company makes this game, this is the biggest game they've ever created. Biggest game they've ever created. This is going to be a huge. This game is potentially going to take Avalanche Studios and bring them up to the next level. Okay, you see what I'm saying? This is the game that makes studios. When you look at this and go, down the road, you're going to forget that they made Disney Infinity and the Toy Story game and the Cars game. You're going to look at them and go, that company made Hogwarts Legacy. Okay? That's WB, though. They will sell. Sure. WB needs the cash, though, Mo, right? They need a big hit. They need a big hit. What I'm saying is that this game coming out for Avalanche Studios is that Witcher moment, right? Is that Witcher moment? Is that Grand Theft Auto moment? This is taking Rockstar. Rockstar made a whole bunch of games, but when they came out with Grand Theft Auto, that was the next echelon for them. The three-dimensional one, Grand Theft Auto 3. Right? Then they made Bully. Then they made all this. It shot them into the stratosphere. And now it's one of the biggest companies. And they made the most popular game in entertainment history, basically. Right? This is what could happen with Avalanche. Right? Avalanche could set the standard for them going forward if Hogwarts is a success. And the quality that they set going forward, they bring themselves up. They could be the next Insomniac. They could be the next type of game company like that. WB needs a win. You mean they would sell to Sony? I doubt it, as they would limit it themselves. I don't know. Like I said, they're $50 billion in the hole. WB is looking to make some cash. Lono's talking about Diablo 4 delay. Any news? I don't know anything about that. I haven't done any research. There's supposedly a lot. I've heard inklings of delay, but I haven't looked too much into it, B. So I don't know. We will know this spring and this summer when Hogwarts Legacy's last-gen console on the Switch comes out, if they tell us how many players sales numbers for Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know if they'll ever tell us that number again. We don't live in that time anymore, Jesse. I don't think they're going to tell us. They don't have to tell us, Make sure you hit that like button, guys. I do appreciate you. I never bring it up. It's been an hour and a half inside the thing. I do appreciate you guys hitting that like button. If you're here and you like this conversation and everything that we've done so far, hit that like button so it shows, it helps the algorithm and whatnot. If my videos have constant viewership and it's the likes to viewer ratio live, it helps us out. They will take the money and they will keep their studios. It's WB version of Final Fantasy. If it doesn't do well, it's going to be they aren't salvageable in fans' eyes. I don't know, Travis, because the games they made before were good games, right? But they were smaller games. Right? This is their biggest game. If it comes out, it doesn't get like a rave review. Let's say it comes like an 80 or something. It's still a big deal for this company to come out with this type of game with the attention to detail. There's so much detail. I went back and watched Ben Snow's video of the combat, and he was talking about how detailed it was. Like when you slam someone on the ground, he was like showing the background, like how the bottles and stuff on the shelves were like moving, and then like when the fire tornado was happening and how it caught someone on fire and the detail and stuff. I was just like, wow, I didn't realize there was that much detail. I can't wait to play the game. But yeah, the attention to detail that Avalanche Studios has done with Hogwarts Legacy is mind-boggling. As far as what they've done in the amount of time. I think the game has been working for like 5 to 7 years. The earliest we saw was like 2018, and they were already working on it, I believe, for like a year and a half or 2 years at that point. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Take the money and they'll keep the studio. Already read that one. All the studios that Sony buys starts out with a test exclusive game like Returnal, the Blue Point, and Demon Souls, etc. And if you don't like the conversation, you're sad. and I no longer wish you to know you. Oh, I appreciate that. See, this is my issue with the rating system. An 80 is a damn good, but because of if a game comes out, I would say even a 70 is a pretty damn good game. I would give a 70 a shot. I mean, Marvel's Avengers, I forgot, got like a 60 something. That was still a pretty good game for the single player aspect of it, and same with Gotham with the single player aspect of it. So I don't know. Each their own. Some people like games that are like 100%, and some people don't like games that are 100%. They're like, it's not my cup of tea. Hence, you don't like Elden Ring, right? I have pre-installed Redfall on my dashboard. You're a little early, Sarge. A couple months down the way. I do have Hogwarts preloaded. I also have Jedi Fallen Order back on my hard drive because we're gonna play that in the beginning of March. Okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. We might do some extra streams. I don't think we're gonna get a lot of viewership for that, so I might make them a membership stream only to do just to get back into it before I play Jedi Survivor. I'm doing the same thing, Mo. I'm going to start today in Carline. I'm going to start watching the first movie of Harry Potter while I'm in Carline. Sarge, you need to buy Tiny Tina's Wonderland. The builds are awesome. You and 30 could play on Wednesdays. As of right now, B, I'm not playing anything but Hogwarts when it comes out. So even Division's going to take a back seat for me for the next couple weeks. I mean, we're playing this Wednesday. But after that, next Wednesday and the week after that, I'll probably shelve it for a bit while Hogwarts Legacy. I'm going to try to do as much Hogwarts Legacy. And based on the feedback that we have when we're playing the game and the videos that I create and the uploads that I do for that, we'll see if I continue playing it, you know? Because that's the thing with being a content creator. If it doesn't work out for me with that particular game, I got to move on, start making content for other things that I think are going to work out for me. Liars who say things of Elden Ring as a 90 really was a 2. It makes people think of it as everything should be. Should just be a pass-fail system. I don't even think... Well, no, I don't agree with that. I mean, reviews and people's opinions are just that. Reviews are people's opinions. And reviews are supposed to be as non-biased, no side whatsoever. They're supposed to just give you the information and tell you how it is. That's a flawed system. And then if someone says they like it or doesn't like it, again, that's their opinion. So if you don't like something and they like something, it doesn't mean that you're wrong or they're wrong. It's weird that Superman 64 is greater than Elden Ring. I am. I'm pure evil. Pure evil. Hogwarts will work out 100%. We just need anyone who's looked at us wrong. Again, if someone comes in, and I want to make this very clear, if someone comes in and starts to harass or haggle anybody, I will not ban them. I will just mute you guys. So if someone comes in and starts to talk shit to me because I'm playing a game and they want to stir the pot, I'm just going to mute that person. Like they'll be able to still chat, and they think in their screen they'll see how everyone's chatting, but they will not show up for anybody else. And if anybody like feeds into that, I will do the same to you, because we don't need to live off of that vibe. Oh, we can take care of business here. I meant in your game. I got you. So wait, you said you're Hufflepuff, right? I am. That's what the app gave me. I had no inkling to one or the other. Looking forward. I'm very excited. I've been watching more footage of it. I think we're gonna have a good time with that game. You can't do it to the students though, Bearcock. You can't do it to the students. Yeah, villains, not the students. Yeah. You can't do it to everybody. You can do it all to the bad guys. You could be Kylo Ren, basically, Bear Cox. You could just run around being throwing tantrums. 0 out of 10 not playing. Super doubtful, but could Sony risk it and buy all of WB? They would get HBO Max, Last of Us, and give Sony a streaming service, and they would also own DC. So they would also own DC and Spider-Man. Well, they don't own Spider-Man. They just have the rights to Spider-Man for a deal. It's not like, well, movie rights. I see what you're saying, the movie rights. I was talking gaming rights. Yeah, they do own the movie rights. So yeah, they would. That'd be interesting. I mean, they could, Krebsy. I mean, how much is it no, who owns WB? Is it AT&T? Who owns WB? Warner Brother Pictures, parent organization, Discovery. Discovery, that's who it is. Discovery. So they would have to buy Discovery out, or they can just buy Warner Brothers if they just sell that off. So right now, Discovery. How much is Discovery? How much is... No, not what is. How much is the WB Discovery worth? $35.38 billion. I mean, they could. Revenue is $12.9 billion. Let's see. Could Sony buy Warner Brothers? Sony buying WB Interactive would really, really smart, says. Back in May of last year, there was an article about it. PlayStation's next acquisition could be Warner Brothers. Here's the thing, though. Let's talk about this, Krebsy. Right? If Sony makes a buy for WB and they get HBO Max and they get all this other stuff, couldn't they be pushed up against saying that they'll take over the market of certain streaming services or video games and, you know, packing in all their stuff? I mean, when you throw stones at a glass house, they're going to come back at you. You know what I mean? It's gonna karma's a bitch. So if they turn around and Sony says we're going to buy WB Discovery, do they just get shit on as much as Microsoft's getting shit on right now? Travis says, so since Ravenclaw, you be my companion since my house doesn't get one. I don't know who. I don't think you guys get a companion at all, at least as of right now. Wait, who's Kylo Ren? I remember son being named Jansen Solo. Yeah, or Jason Solo. You know, Kylo Ren. You don't remember Kylo Ren? He was in the Lego game that we just saw. It was a Lego rendition. We just want very good vibes here, but we just don't need bad vibes here during when Hogwarts Legacy comes out. Yeah, I'm not about doing any kind of, you know, each their own. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. You know what I mean? What's going on, babe? Game Pass is boxes. Xbox main source of revenue, though. No. Game Pass is not. I believe it's only like 15%, isn't it? I think it's only 15% of their total revenue, if I'm not mistaken. Take a look later and get back to me. What do you think? All right, I'll look at it right now, Sarge. Nope, that's not it. Boom, 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 boom. This seems pretty good. That seems pretty good. I didn't think they would get as much heat. You don't think so? I don't know, man. That is correct, right? Yeah, it's only like 15%, something like that. Correct. Game Pass is 15% revenue of Xbox. Yeah, I didn't think it was the majority of it. Now, if the market switches, where all of a sudden we're talking about a lot about first party titles, babe, where they come in with Starfield and Redfall, and even next year with Avowed and Hellblade 2 and all those other games. Let's say they have like in the next year and a half, they have like 15, 20 games, in the next 2 years come out on first party titles for Xbox. And they raise the price of Game Pass like we were talking about earlier in the stream. Then yeah, that revenue goes up, and we could see sort of a likely of what we saw with digital/physical games back in the day. Like in 2018, it went from, I think it was like 20% or 30% to 70% of digital to physical. So 30% digital, 70% physical. And then the following year, it just swapped where it was like 70%. I don't think that number will ever be that high, but we can see a dramatic increase in what the Game Pass numbers bringing in. Hellblade 2 is this year. I don't know, Mo. I don't know. If they show it at E3, which is another conversation, we don't even know, because we heard that there's no E3, even though we heard Phil Spencer in an interview just 2 days ago say, yeah, we're going to be around E3. It's a part of it. And then all of a sudden there's an article that says that Microsoft's not going to be at E3, which I think is funny. Bye. That when it comes out, I don't know if it comes out this year. If they show it at E3 to come out before the new year, it's gonna be rough. Hopefully it does. But didn't that game? When did the first game come out, Mo? Let's see. Hellblade 1 release date was 2017. So let's say they went right into production. Is that right? Hellblade? It's just Hellblade, right? Or am I typing in the wrong thing? Yeah. Hellblade released in 2017. So let's say they started in 2018. It took them 4 years, 5 years? Potentially, if they didn't have any delays as far as like problems with COVID or whatnot. It potentially could come out this year if everything's on time. It could maybe come in like a November. But then again, if Starfield doesn't come out in the early part of the year and it comes out during that time, do you release it at the same time as Hellblade and just push Hellblade into the next year? You better remember 100% of Xbox players getting an Xbox. 100% of Xbox players regret getting an Xbox. Well, that's false. It's at least 99.9% because I don't regret getting an Xbox. I know Mo doesn't regret getting an Xbox. Let Ninja Theory make a master class game and don't push it out before they're ready. We don't need another 343. Spider-Man 2, everything Xbox has and it will. Spider-Man 2 is greater than everything Xbox has and will. Yeah, like November? Perhaps. Production hasn't start on Hellblade till at the earliest mid-2020. Is that true? Where's that number coming from? So what do they do for 3 years? What do they do for 3 years? Your awesomeness counterreacts to suckiness. I like gaming, so I don't care what platform I'm on. I don't regret my Xbox, but I don't use it much, though. I mean, I don't regret my toaster oven either. I don't use that anymore either because I use my air fryer to toast my toast. So, Spider-Man 2 will be another superhero game. I mean, I like the story of it. I love Spider-Man. It's another great game. I'm not gonna crap on a game that's good. You know what I mean? No, I don't have that phone. I still have my old. Hold on, I think I have my old cell phone. I think. Let me see. I don't have my old flip phone, but I do have my first iPhone. I mean, look at the size difference of this thing. And I think this is like, I feel like this is like first generation, second generation. Look at that. Look how tiny that is. I remember when that thing was gigantic, and you're looking at this going, "Oh my god, it's amazing! Look how tiny that is. Look at it. Right, fits in the palm of your hand." Check out this thing, chat. Check out this thing. This is called a camera. Okay, and check it out. It's got a built-in flash with a flip. Huh? Check that out. It's compact. No screen in the back, so you don't know what pictures you're taking. I still have a Nokia from 2007. I have my old like flip phone stuff. I just don't know where it is. My son uses them for just to play in the backyard and stuff. Still waiting to see what do they do with him before I judge anything better be M rated. Oh, rated M for Wolverine. Yeah, but here I don't understand what you're trying to do, Travis. Right? You're trying to say like if I own an Xbox, like you can't own a PlayStation type of thing, because you're trying to make it sound like, well, if you own an Xbox, we have better games on PlayStation. Like, are you a stockholder in PlayStation, or are you just a fan of PlayStation? You see what I'm saying? Because I have a PlayStation, I have an Xbox, I have a Nintendo Switch, I have a PC. So it's like wherever the games go, most of the people that are in this channel are probably going to get the game for that system because they're excited about the game. I'm making my character name is Ben Solo. In what? In Hogwarts, Jesse? Oh no, I'm just screwing around. I think the exclusives sell consoles and Xbox doesn't have any. Yeah, but I think exclusives suck balls. Generally, I do. I think exclusives are bad for the gaming industry. I do like though that both Xbox and Sony are now starting to make games for PC, because I do believe it's stupid that to put it behind something. Now I'm all for first party titles, and you get more revenue and whatnot. But as far as exclusives, if you have a first party game, sure. But if you have a third party game and you're buying exclusives for your console, that's just bad. That's bad business. I mean, perfect example. MLB The Show was exclusive for PlayStation. It sold a crap ton. But you know what it's selling more? The crap ton that it's on all systems now. And they have microtransactions and battle passes and packs to open up. So they're making a lot more money in the MLB The Show because it's not exclusive for one console now. I agree, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have exclusives, but since we do, I buy a system based off them. I also hate my PC, so yeah. Well, here's another thing. If the people that are trying to save money, right? They want a game, but they don't have a lot of money. To buy a $550 system or $500 system for PlayStation for exclusives, okay? Or you get into gaming and you bring home an Xbox for $250. It's the S, right? And people can still game on it. And you don't really have to pay much more than that. You can get $120. So for $370, I can get a console with pretty good power, right? Pretty good power. You wouldn't notice anything different unless you knew about the Xbox Series X and played it in somewhere else. But the Series S, for the value for what it is, plus Game Pass, it's untouchable. The value of that money for $370, less than, that's $120 less than just buying a PlayStation before a game. You're getting a huge value for that. And that is where Xbox thrives over that. I think there was an article recently, I would have to look it up, that Xbox has more people right? More people engaging with their stuff than anybody else because of it's in the televisions, it's on mobile phones, it's everywhere. Well, let's be clear, though. Sony has made huge mistakes on their exclusives. I'm still pissed that Arkham Knights was exclusive for Sony, and my friend couldn't finish it. MLB is the perfect Game Pass game, free for the players. Buy stubs for B and the packs. Yeah, Lurker, it's a fantastic game. And we talked about this yesterday a little bit. I can't believe this is the third year it's coming out on Game Pass already. It's a fantastic game. I played last year. I played the year before. We'll probably play again this year when it comes out. Series S and good power shouldn't be in the same sentence. Not true, Krebsy. Not true. I said good power. I didn't say great power. I didn't say great power. I said it's got good power. And if you're a person that doesn't have, majority of the population doesn't have the comforts to buy a $500 system, but they can get a full system that plays really good games, and you wouldn't know any difference, right? You're referencing like the upper echelon of people. Like those of you that are in here probably got the X and the PlayStation 5, and you have a PC, and you have you buy all the games that come out, and you're inside the. But most people, like my son, he doesn't know the difference. He doesn't know the difference between what the Series X and the S is until he comes over to my system and goes, "Oh, how come that loads faster?" Right? If he doesn't see it, he doesn't know. Right? It's a good system. Well, it depends if you like Xbox games. I personally don't like the Xbox controller, so yeah. Well, it's not even about Xbox games. You can get third-party games, and you're saving money than if you bought them on PlayStation. It's a no-brainer. How many third-party games are on Game Pass? Even if you buy a PlayStation and get the streaming service on there, you're still paying $500, and then you're getting the subscription service. Series S has good power for what it's designed to do? Absolutely. They just launched another exclusive today, didn't they? Age 2? Yeah. Yeah. Is that out today? Let me see. Xbox. Is that out today? I don't see it on this list, but it could be. I'm not sure. See, I don't play online at all. My friends who have an Xbox, they had Ultimate Internet. I might think about Xbox, but since I don't play, I prefer PlayStation 5. Well, that's a different. What you prefer and what the actual logic is two different things, right? Like factually, it's a better deal getting a Series S and getting Game Pass than it is to get a PlayStation or an Xbox Series X and then buying the games individually. Man, I love the Xbox controller. I can't wait for the Hyper Keen to recreate the 360 controller for the Series console. I should be getting it. High on Life and Hi-Fi Rush prove Xbox can nail exclusives as well. Sure. A broken clock is right twice a day, though, Lurker, right? Not taking anything away from Xbox, but what I'm saying is a broken clock is still correct twice a day. And I love High on Life, and I love, so far, Hi-Fi Rush. I think they're both fantastic games. I love the art style of those as well. This is a user view on what good power is to varies user to user. But performance-wise, for industry health and devs, Series S isn't good power. Well, no, it isn't great power. It's good power. And I'm going to stand by that again and say it again out loud. It's got good power. It doesn't have great power. Well, if you have multiple people, Xbox is hella better. But if you're a single house player, it's kind of what you prefer. Sure. Well, no, I think regardless, you can take that out, Travis. It's what you prefer. But that's it. It's what you prefer. It doesn't matter if it's single or multiplayer or household of full of 10 people or like what you prefer. What you can afford and what you can prefer. If they both line up in the same thing, then there you go. I call them excuses because I would play them on PlayStation, but I get your point about the clock. Sure. Yeah. Well, what I'm saying, I'm not taking anything away from High on Life or, there for every awesome game that's came out for Xbox so far. I can also name a bunch of games that came out that were half baked, undercooked, glitchy, buggy messes. Right. A 1-to-1. Right. For every good game, I can name a bad game that counterproducts that, or no games at all. Five was great, and so was Hivebuster. Hivebuster was that game mode, wasn't it, Mo? We tried it. Did I play with you? I think I played with you, didn't we? We tried it. It was you, me, and someone else that went through the Hivebuster the one time. It was fun, but it just didn't keep my attention. We had fun playing Gears. We played it for a good 3 weeks, 4 weeks, like the multiplayer or whatnot. What time is it? 12 o'clock? All right. I appreciate for the chatter this morning. Hope you enjoyed the content that I produced. In the early session, I put it right up front. We had a conversation about, is Game Pass breaking the narrative, right? Now, Jez Corden says that it shatters the narrative of Xbox Game Pass that hurts game sales because he's using Hi-Fi Rush as an example to other games against like Forspoken. So I talked about that early on the stream. If you missed that, you can, as soon as I'm done, you can go listen to the front of that. It's about 10 to 13 minutes long of what I talk about. If you like it, please make sure you hit that like button down below. If you're watching this after the fact and you watched for those 2 hours, I do appreciate you for coming out and hanging out with us. Thank you very much for the live chat, for communicating with me and having conversations back and forth. I want to make good content for you guys, and I hope you're entertained and hope that you enjoyed the morning streams here. We'll be back live tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for some Power Wash Simulator. We'll talk like this as I'm playing video games tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, we also do a podcast on Thursday nights called Generation X Gaming. It's a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. Go check that out. We have past broadcasts. We've done 341 episodes between me and Sarge. You can watch season 9 on this channel, and you can watch the other 8 seasons over on our main channel, was our main channel, which was 30 and Still Gaming. Also, if you didn't hear the announcement, next week when Hogwarts Legacy comes out, the morning shows that we're doing right now, we are playing Hogwarts Legacy in place of this talk show type stuff. The brand new game coming out, we're going to be playing it from the very beginning. We're going to be playing it in the mornings, and we're going to be playing it in the evenings for the Let's Plays and whatnot. So it's going to take over our stream for about a week or two. And if I like it, it'll just be blended in, and we'll do the morning shows again. Then we'll play Hogwarts in the evenings after the first 2 weeks or so. So just a heads up to let you guys know. I appreciate it very much, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for the conversation. Peace.